Other insulations which could be used. One I've used a lot in the past, I think is very, very good, is a product called EcoBead. EcoBead is actually a recycled oil. It's filtered and blown through an ultra-high steam, temperature steam. And it was an EPS, an expanded polystyrene, which people think isn't very good for the environment. Now, the white stuff which you get in your boxes when you order your electrical goods, the white product really isn't, because that's further treated. But the EcoBead is a raw product, and it's one process which means it's completely recycled and there's nothing to add to it. So EcoBead, an EPS. An EPS is an expanded polystyrene. Alongside of that, one of the byproducts is like a UPVA glue, watery glue. Now, what happens with EcoBead is it's forced into a void under pressure. And as that's forced in under pressure by an air flowing machine, very similar to the FiberMaster one that we've looked at previously, is sprayed with this water-based glue, if you like. And that sticks it together, and it makes a mass where it moves very slowly under pressure. And it actually looks like it moves like a lava, if you can imagine that slow process of it moving around. And it moves until it hits an object, and then it moves into another direction until it hits an object. Then it'll move into another direction. So it moves systematically around any void that has been expected to fill. So this is an excellent product, works very, very well, used it many times. And the advantage of it is at a later date, if you wish to remove it, you want to take a board off, it doesn't fall out. Because it has got the adhesive, glue in, if you take the boards off, it sits there. It's solid. And you can bring it out, break it up, and agitate it and put it back into an EPS individual board and reuse it. So if at a later date you want to build an extension, you cut a hole in the wall, take the insulation out, reuse it. Yeah, same as you can with the timbers, the stuff like that. But it's EcoBead, really good product, and works very well.
Excellent, John. And what we'll be doing is actually sharing some images as we're having this conversation, and you can see the image where we connected for us to be able to insert the EcoBead down at Green Meadow Lane, which was our project where we actually used, where Pure House used the EcoBead. And yeah, it's something that people want to experience, but in reality, they just connect, and then you don't see an awful lot when it's been done.
No, the thing is with EcoBead, it's a very simple process. Many times I've had people come down, we want to see the insulation being filled into the voids. And we get groups of people coming down to have a look and watch this. And all it is a man standing there with a tube with a hole in it. Externally, it's very, very unexciting, but it's a very simple process.
And one of the images that I can see, I've got a video of it somewhere. I'll see if I can bring it into this video, but it's where the EcoBead is actually being inserted, and we have an endoscopy, and you can see it changing from liquid to solid. And that's quite interesting to see it actually internally. That was something I experienced. Just moving on to some of the challenges. So, a couple of challenges with EcoBead. I say a couple. Just the one challenge that I could imagine that we experienced was if, say, for example, it doesn't get over a certain point, it doesn't run through a certain point, you might have a little pocket where it doesn't actually fill. Is that right, John? Maybe you just want to go through that a little bit.
Well, what happens sometimes is you do get pockets. You'll get a piece of ply gusset or a junction or somewhere where the EcoBead doesn't flow. This does occasionally happen. This doesn't happen to a great deal, but it does happen. Now, that is why we thermal image every build. Every build that you do gets thermally imaged, and every inch is photographed, if you like, and filmed as we go around. And if there are any pockets that have been missed, it will actually be really quite clear on the thermal imaging. And if that is the case, all we do is we drill a hole and we pump a bit more in.
Yeah, and some of the images that we've shared there will have articulated that really well. And one of the things that I remember quite clearly is that if you do get a little spill, so for example, if you take the floorboard off, so if you wanted to do something underneath the floor and you do get a little bit of spill, then it takes a bit of tidying up. So you have to be really careful as you remove boards and such like and do work once the EcoBead's set.
Yeah, as with all insulation, you get escapage. In other words, you get a bit of spill. You have to redo a piece of work at some point in time. You're going to get spillage. You're going to get something to get out. EcoBead being an EPS is actually quite difficult to contain because it moves very, very quickly and easily with a breeze, with a wind. It's also can be quite difficult to sweep up. The best way to deal with it is with a vacuum cleaner. But it's also the same with any insulations, whether it's glass fibre, cellulose, or whatever else. They all could escape and cause an issue. EcoBead just seems to be particularly good at escaping. So thought has to be put onto the process of insulating anyway. So it's always worth taking into consideration. You may have a clean-up session if you rework something that's already been insulated.
Yeah, so a little tip there is have a hoover, just in case you have some escapage.
Always have a vacuum with you. Always. Yeah.
Brilliant stuff. Thanks, John.